All right, so this is my Black Panther review. I normally don't. I mean, I've made videos here and there, but I just felt like this was such a moment where I just had like when you for those who haven't seen the movie, like when you see this movie, you just want to talk about it. Like you just want to like really dissect like what's going on. Like what did you just see? What did you just like really get and captured in? It's just truly amazing. Just my initial reactions, I was blown away just to see. I think just the visuals. First of all, this movie is beautiful. Like it's actually stunning. The colors, you want every outfit. Like literally, you want every outfit. Shout out to my brother for providing this dashiki from South Africa. Love you right now, my twin brother. Um, you just want to be there. Like you want to go to Wakanda. Like you want this. Like you want to visit this place. You want to live in this place. You want to dress like everyone. You want to speak like they do. It's just something amazing. Like the action is amazing. The storyline is amazing. And to be honest, like this is such a woke movie. Like it has so much substance. It has so much depth. It's so layered and nuanced. Like you can't even. It's just so much to take in. It's like one of those movies like you kind of need to see again to really like dissect it and really get what you need to get out of it. It's like it's just crazy. Like I cannot imagine a single bad review for this movie. It's literally I give it a 10 out of 10, like honestly. And one would say, oh, okay, Val, like maybe that's a little too much. Maybe it's not like no, like you got to think about the cultural, movement, the fashion, the symbolism, the action, the writing, the stars. It's everything. Like Black Panther is literally everything. This will go down in history as one of the greatest, if not the greatest superhero movies, but even also one of the greatest black films ever produced. Shout out to Ryan Coogler for just being so amazing and just so awesome. And I just really truly give him honor for just to see his glow. Not even his glow, because I read an article about how his ascendance. No, this man already ascended. Fruitvale Station was amazing. Creed was amazing. And Black Panther is just like really honestly another book on the shelf where it's just honestly amazing to look at this man's work. So I just want to talk about like I'll cover a couple of things in this review that I just had to get out. One is a cultural moment. People were you saw on Twitter about like people doing dumb hard for the Black Panther review or whatever. Like people are gonna go crazy, dressing dashikis like how I'm dressed now or whatever. But I think what people don't understand is that this is a movie that celebrates, right? This is a movie that brings people together. This is something that we've been waiting for in the representation of Hollywood, which diversity is an issue. This is a movie that like people of color, African people, and I'm not just gonna exclude this to African American people or African people. I think people of any descent can kind of resonate with this movie and say, I want my motherland to be portrayed in this way with such royalty, such beauty, such dopeness. Like it's really a cultural movie. I love that. I don't know if people saw on Twitter where you saw that one movie theater that showed the entire theater was filled with Black Panther. I'm like, wow, like what other movie would do this? And it shows that when you care about the consumer, when you care about representation, and even from a business standpoint, I mean, granted, you're capitalizing off of consumers, but even when you take care and when you do things right, people respond, and we respond in a good way. Especially the Black community, we could respond in a good way when you treat us right, and when you look at us and say, you know what, I'm going to make something for you that celebrates you, that puts you out into the zeitgeist, and puts you out and say, you know what, this culture is dope. We need to celebrate it. We need to honor it. And it just shows like what happens when you do things well. And just the fashion, it really encompasses like what it means to be black. Like just the music with the Black Panther album, which was super amazing. Shout outs to Kendrick and TDE. The fashion, the food, the visuals, the language. I don't even know what language they were speaking, but like you wanted to speak it. Like that's how rich it was and how authentic it was. It was just something what you really do is you leave that theater, especially as a Black person, which is the land I'm speaking from. Like you leave that theater proud. You leave it saying, and it's kind of, you feel a sense of unity because there's been this disconnect between the African American community and the African community, and even the Caribbean community, because we live in diaspora and, we've been spread out with so many different ways, even the Afro-Latino community down in Brazil and all other spaces. You just leave so proud of like, it's a space that you just feel so unified. You just like, what, we can all be Wakandan, and you can see with the different tribes and them uniting under whatever that in Wakanda, unity is something that's important. Unity is something that's valuable, and it's something that is fought for. It's something that is challenged. It's something that you really see, and you see it done well. But you leave that, like I tweeted out the other day that it made me when I left, I wanted to be like, I just cross my arms and be like Wakanda forever every time I pass somebody. And instead of giving a head nod, you just go like this every time you walk through the street. You just feel that way. It just makes you want to be under one umbrella. And that umbrella is love. That umbrella is family. That umbrella is culture. You just leave proud, and you really feel like, wow, like we are great. We are good as Black people. We are kings. We are queens. We can hold ourselves high. We can hold ourselves in high esteem. We're talented. We're beautiful. We're smart. We're innovative. It's just Wakanda represents everything that the unified Black diaspora is striving to be. And I think that's super amazing. I wanted to touch on, especially when you think of the diaspora, the African American versus, the African, which is something, the schism and the analysis is something that you see very heavily in the film between, with Eric, with Killmonger and T'Challa, and, played by Chadwick Boseman and Michael B. Jordan. You just see the difference. You just see like what, T'Challa coming from privilege and coming from royalty and he just has a humbleness about him. He has a power about him, an authority about him. And then you see the dichotomy of like what it means, where Killmonger or Eric is fatherless. He grew up in this, adversity, and he had to fight his way in that. And you can see how that changed him and how that formed to see who he is now. It's just, you see that difference of like, he doesn't, Angela Bassett says, in the movie is like, show them who you are, right? When he's fighting. And it's like, you feel that it's like, we want to show ourselves. We want to be unapologetically us and just be authentically us. And, it's like Eric, he doesn't know who he is, right? He's trying to find it out. His journey to Wakanda to connect back to his roots. And as an African American person myself, we're all trying to cling to that, whether it's wearing the dashikis, and one could call that a cultural appropriation. And it's like, no, like what people don't understand is that we're trying to cling to something because of chattel slavery in the Middle Passage. Our ancestry is gone. I don't know who my great grandparents are. I don't know what tribe I come from. I don't know, what country I come from. I don't know what was my mother tongue. I don't know any of that. I can't. And as Black people, we try to create our own culture. And you can see, even when Michael B. Jordan is on screen, you can see the trap music. You can see the hip hop as his theme music as he rolls around, because that's kind of the legacy and the culture that we've built, right? As Black people, when Black people, some people say Black people don't have a culture. No, we do have a culture. We just had to build it. Right, we had to build it from scratch and see what that is, and through the pain, through the heartache, and through the triumph, and through the overcoming. That's our culture, right? And then, you just see that dichotomy of, you see, Eric, he's just lost, and you see in his father gets angry at Forrest Whitaker's character of, yo, they're over policed, they're in poverty, they don't have the tools. We need to help them. We need to do something about it. And one can. And and it's like, you can see the whole movie. It's like Wakandans turn their back, right? That they're not interested in trying to save their own. And that even goes out into a broader spectrum of, no, it's not about just you and your tribe, where everyone's our tribe. And we need to look out for everyone, and everyone needs to be valued, and everyone needs to come together and learn from one another. And you can even see that with, and I'll get, quoting, talking about Cornel West. Cornel West talked about how the Black middle class, or the middle class, forgot the Black plight, right? When you get to a certain socioeconomic status, that you no longer see the plight of your people and where it's and where they stand on the social totem pole, right? And you can kind of see that because the Wakandans are so advanced and so innovative that they forgot about, and Eric Killmonger, he talks about, there's 2 billion people out there that look like us that are suffering, that don't have the technologies that we have, that don't have. And one could even link that to the African American perspective of, Michael Eric Dyson, and people have said, we are, African Americans are the revolutionaries, the people who move the envelope for the diaspora, which is arguable. I'm not disagreeing with that or agreeing with that. I'm just kind of staying in the middle. And it's like, you see that disconnect. I was like, wow, like we got to take care of our own, is that we need to come together. And it's kind of Pan-Africanist tones of, we need to come together and see, like, granted, we all are in different places, whether in Brazil, whether in DR, whether in Haiti, whether in, the States, or whether we're in London, whether we're in, wherever we are, we're all one, and we're under one in this umbrella. And we need to connect to who we are and show, who we are. It's part two of my uh, Black Panther review. So I just wanted to pick up on the role of women in this film. It's what I love is that they are truly something powerful. And I love they're equal, right? And one could argue like Cavell, they're not equal because they're not, the king and they're not in position to rule the nation. But like, no, I think if you look at it that way, I think you're missing it, right? I think you can see it in Shuri's character, which I think is so dope. Her fashion was dope. She was beautiful. She was smart. She's funny. Like she's everything. Like she's so intersectional, multi-dimensional. And I love, did you guys see that cut in her hair? It's just, she was just everything. And her character, she's, first of all, she's the scientist. She's the head scientist, right? And that kind of dispels the stigma of women in tech, right? Where she's like, no, I can be this innovative, dope, like, intersectional person, but I'm still a scientist and I'm somebody who can technologically advance and add to society in that way, which I think is so dope. And that I love that they chose that role to be a woman, right? And it's something that we always see men in that kind of role. And then you can see, I forgot her name, but she's from The Walking Dead, where her character, she's so dope. And I love one of her line, she's talking about the wig on her head, and she's like, this is so disgraceful, not to come for girls who wear wigs or weave, not to come for y'all, but she's like, like, this is not my natural beauty, this is who I am, I want to be who I am, this is not it, right? And you can see she's so loyal, right? And she's so powerful, and let's be clear, she's the strongest warrior inside the entire Wakanda. Like she's the general, she's the leader, right? And one could make that analogy that she's a veteran, right? That she is a soldier that's for her country, right? And she's a prominent protector. And you can see that dichotomy of, you can see the soldier force, the women with the bald heads who I think were so dope. I love that they were all bald. That just made it even cooler. And they were so dope. And you can see that they protect, right? That and you can kind of see that black women have been the protectors of the black community for so long, and they've been a pillar, and they've been just people who have been loyal, putting their lives down. And even you can see in Lupita's character, right, where she is, she's talking about her calling, right, and she wants to be out there, and she has a career, and she has a purpose, and she has her own agency, and she's and T'Challa talks about, Chadwick Boseman says, oh, you'd be a great queen if you weren't so stubborn. She's like, I am stubborn, but I'll be a good queen if I want that, right? If I want to be. And that completely shows like the choice and the freedom that she has, and that she's not under him, but she's an equal, and that it's not patriarchal, rather that she has her own lane and her own path. That she has to choose the agency to choose whether she wants to pursue that or what she wants to be with him. And that I love that the relationship is not seen as, as a want. I mean, as a need, but rather it's a want, right? And that she has that agency and that choice to make, to pursue whatever she wants to pursue. But you also see, like, I love that you can see that Lupita is this symbol of beauty in the film, where even with colorism, where she's usually you see lighter skinned or lighter hued people on camera, and it's like Lupita is full on black, beautiful skin, beautiful in every way. She's sexy, she's everything, right? And you can see, I love seeing Chadwick and them come together, and it's like you can see that, like, that love, that black love, and how precious it is, and how it needs to be highlighted, and that it's a moment that needs to be in there. And you can see that, like, Chadwick, it doesn't look at her, she's amazing, she's awesome, and that it's not like I need her behind me, I need her by my side, I want her by my side. And she's a leader in her own right, and she can do what she wants, and she can be a leader, which I think is amazing. And you can see Angela Bassett's character, she's a true black patriarch, where she's holding down her son, and you can see that she's just amazing, and she cares for her son when she thought she was dead. You can see that anguish in her heart. You can see all of that, and it's like that's who our black mothers are, right? They care for us, they love for us, and they hold us down, right? That's something so powerful. And just the role of women in this film. And you can see, I remember the woman from, I can't remember her name, it's gonna kill me. The one for The Walking Dead, when she was going against her lover, the guy from Get Out, which I can't remember his name either. And you can see she's like, no, I'll die for Wakanda, right? Where I'm loyal, that, our relationship doesn't mean anything. My purpose and my calling is even greater, right? And I'm not willing to sacrifice that for you or for anybody else, that I'm on a path and I'm on a mission. And that's something that's super powerful to see in that moment. And even just to touch on that moment really quick about black on black crime and black on black violence. And you can see that, like, when the Wakandans are fighting one another and he puts his blade down, it's like, wow, we come to the realization of, like, wow, we need to value ourselves. We're going after our own lives, that we need to cherish our community. We need to cherish one another, which I think is super powerful. And I love that they took that pause to see, like, that you ask the question of, like, what are we doing? No, like, we are beautiful. We are intelligent. We are smart. Why are we fighting one another? Right? So something else I wanted to segue in was the role of allyship and ethnocentrism. You can see the guy who plays the CIA agent. At first when he starts out, he's like very like ethnocentric. He's like, my way is best. I'm American. I know what I'm doing. You're gonna take the backseat. Even he disrespects the king and doesn't realize his status or who he is, or give him his dignity to treat him as a king, right? And or even like you ask the question of, does he speak English? Does she speak English? Right. And as Americans, we've done that so much, especially in New York City, of like, oh, do you speak English? Because we're so focused on our own culture, and you need to hear to us. And you can see that throughout the film, he starts to let that ethnocentrism down and become and listen and understand. And he's realized that he's witnessing greatness, that he's witnessing that I need to take this in, because these people are not only smart, they're beautiful, whatever. No, they are great. And I need to learn from them. And you can see when, they come to Bolu, or Boku, I forgot his name, kind of the forgotten tribe, and they're, and the CIA agent is, trying to be in the affairs of what's going on, and he's like, they start oohing at him, they start making noises at him, they're saying like, no, like, bro, like, you need to sit down, like, you need to be quiet, like, this is not your role, this is not your time. You do have a time, but like, you need to let us figure this out, because this is our issue and our problem, and you don't understand the nuance of this, and this is a moment where you don't need to insert yourself, but you need to listen and be humble. Right. And I love that moment, because it's showing that when it comes down to allyship, that not every fight is your fight, but you can participate in the fight. But you just need to know where you need to, instead of giving my opinion first, let me give my ear. Right. Let me take a little step in. Let me observe a little bit more. Right. Instead of saying, kind of, they even talk about that kind of is roots to the white savior complex, right? It's like, no, you need to be immersed in this and become a part of the community and be accepted, right? And when you think about, and when his journey to allyship, he even, kind of saves the rest of the world from getting vibranium. And he's, and what I love about black people, what I love about our culture, is that we have always been inclusive, and that we have always been a people who are accepting and loving of other people, when we haven't been shown love, right? And at the point, they were like, oh, she says that she calls him a colonizer, Shuri, and she says, oh, another white man I need to fix. And that's funny, right? And some white people could get confused or offended by that. It's like, no, like, we love, right? And it's like, we're gonna take people in, and we're gonna care for them no matter who they are. Which I think is so dope. And it's like, you can play a lane, and it shows in the CIA agent's role, you can play a lane, you can play a role in the fight. You don't have to be excluded from this, that our struggle is not just our struggle, that you can be a part of this struggle, and that you can be a part of the solution, you can be a part of the fight, and you can be a part of the achievement, which I think is so awesome and great. And another thing I wanted to touch on, which I think kind of sums up the movie, is the T'Challa's character, which I think is so well done, with Chadwick Boseman, is that you can constantly see that he's in this conflict, right? He's in this conflict between of like what has been done and who he wants to be, right? And who he wants to become, right? And you can see that in his last vision, where he talks to his ancestors and he says, you guys are wrong. And that's just a brilliant moment by him. It's so emotional, so raw. He's like, I feel the pain of my people. I feel it. And I have a responsibility. I have a duty to do something about it. And he's like, you guys are wrong. The old way is not the best way. It can be improved, right? And then we can do better. And you can see just him just wrestling through that, of trying to be a humble and loving and powerful, authoritative leader in this crazy world. And just to sum it up, just really what this movie is about. It's about love. It's about unity. It's about coming together as not just black people, but as a nation, as a species, as humans. And So this is part 3 of my Black Panther review. So just to kind of sum it up, of what this movie is really about, it's really about love. It's really about unity. And you can see that in Chadwick Boseman's character of, him wrestling with that and, really coming to the realization of like, wow, we need to come full circle and just be unified. And it's really about investing in our community and loving one another. And you can see when he goes to LA and he brings Shuri with him, and you can see like, kind of dispelling what the American dream is and what the international community has of America of like, no, we do have ghettos. We do have, people in poverty. We do have people who are struggling, people who are hungry, people who don't have, because the rest of the world thinks that we are this kind of American dream reality of, oh, we are so rich, and we're rich and we're powerful, but we still have problems here too. Right. And he says, Shuri says, oh, wow, like that building's closing down. And he's like, no, I bought that building. I bought that building. I bought that building. And this is where our new cultural center is going to be. And that just speaks to of how, as a people, we need to invest in our community. We need to say, no, I value my community. I'm going to go back to my community. And it's not just giving back, it's paying it forward. He's like, no, I'm going to put my money into this. I'm going to put resources into this because I care about my people. And I think that's the attitude that we all need to have, not only as Black people, but as just humanity in general. Like, no, we need to invest in ourselves and come together. And really just sums up what this film is about. It's about love and unity. And you can see it in the last scene, or one of the last scenes, where he's at the UN and he's addressing the UN. He's like, no more will we be isolationists. We will share with the world and we will become unified. Right? He says brilliantly, he says, more connects us than separates us, and the wise builds bridges while the foolish build barriers. And he's directly, and it's so good. It's just so good, where it's that kind of just the cherry on top, where he, Coogler and the writers are saying, no, like, we need to come together, where we need to show that, more brings us together than what separates us. And you kind of can quote Dr. King, where he says, we're tied together in a single thread of destiny. And it's crazy. And King talked about how we're more linked than we are, right? And I love in that scene, it pivots to different ethnicities and different cultures in the room and they're nodding with the message. They're saying, we do need to look out for one another. We do need to bring love into the mix and just really care for one another. It's like in this culture that we're in, and I'll get a little, I'll talk about the now. We're so tribalistic, right? Where you're Republican, you're Democrat, you're socialist, you're this, you're that. And we lose sight of the goal. And I think, this really movie is showing us the goal is to come together and to advance and to love. And it's like, you can, in this culture, you see places like Venezuela, who's in shambles and turmoil right now. You see the Israel and the Palestine issue. You see South Africa, was running out of water. People sleep on that. The refugee crisis. You think about climate change, and T'Challa or Boseman really puts it together perfectly. Of like, no, like, we need to come together, and that's what I love. The overarching, despite the pain, despite the separation, that this film is about. How do we come together, and how do we be better, and how do we love on one another? And just to wrap it up, this film is truly amazing, and I give my hats off to everyone who's a part of it. I think it's going to be something that we're going to talk about for years to come. I hope that it's in the running for some type of award, because it honestly deserves it. I've never seen a movie so layered and so powerful and so positive, and just so entertaining all in one. Black Panther, if you haven't seen it, go see it. You're missing out on the conversation. You're missing out on something that everyone needs to see. And it's not just a movie for Black people. It is for us, and it's by us, which I love. But it's just, I think it's for everyone to see, whether you're whatever race or culture you come to. Like, you can take away from this film and learn so much from it, and just come out with a positive look, like, and feel pride in just who you are, and how to appreciate people, how to appreciate cultures, and how to just love. Signing out. I love this film. Go see it. Bye.